Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We've got two seats here in the second row. If you guys want to make your way forward, we've got place for two people.
In the second row.
It's this row here.
Oh, yes, on the end.
The first row is the, yeah. Oh, there, just one seat, one behind you. Okay, welcome everyone to the final session before the plenary for the ASA convention. We've got quite a full audience here today. Apologies, there are more people than seats available. But yeah, welcome. Quite excited to have you. My name is Nashon Portreg. At this point, I think if you don't know Lindsay and I, then I don't know where you've been. So I'm not going to introduce myself beyond that. I will introduce Lindsay though. Lindsay is a business editor, storyteller in South Africa. He also works for the Daily Maverick, where he does business journalism. With that, I'm going to hand over to Lindsay to give us an introduction on the paper as well as the speaker for today. Thank you, Lindsay.
Cool. How's it, everyone? I don't know why everybody's here at the same time. It's the last session, guys. Anyway, thank you very much. It must have been the incredible title of this talk, which is There's a Snake in My Sheets, How Actuaries Can Use Python to Level Up Their Excel. Sammy de Klerk is here to talk about using Python directly in Excel to automate processes, handle data, and even write custom functions to extend its capabilities and also get into the practical side, the caveats, the drawbacks, and how it compares to the vanilla Excel experience or Python. Please give a warm welcome.
Afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending my talk. I'm really looking forward to it. I want to start off with a question. Raise your hands, please. If unconditional support, that's what I'm here for. Thank you so much. If you have a laptop with Excel, keep your hand raised if you also have some data that you can use on that laptop. Lower your hand if you've never trained a machine learning model. No, okay.
Rafael, we see you've got two hands up.
Right, okay. So for at least some of you, you have everything you need to get going to train your first machine learning model within 15 minutes, I claim. And that is what I would like to share with all of you today, is how you can do that using Python in Excel. And I will jump straight in and show you. So for much of this talk, I will be switching between PowerPoint and doing live demos. So bear with me for those. So let's go and do the first one. Here is an Excel spreadsheet. And another theme that's going to come up a lot today is here's one I made earlier. An hour is not enough to type all of this up by hand. But here is a spreadsheet pre-prepared with some personal information on some people with various attributes, some of which overlap with what we typically look at in insurance. And then here at the end is a label column, which for the purposes of this exercise is something we care about, whether these people, whether their income is below or above 50,000 units. And then here, off that data, using Python in Excel, is code to load that data, prepare it, train a machine learning model on it, give a visual of the diagram of what the trained model looks like, some descriptive statistics, and even at the end, predictions right in Excel out of the Python on that data. So even in here, I can come in and I can say, well, this person is 37, education number of 14 in sales, and works 30 hours a week. So let's say if they only work 10, does it change the answer for them? It doesn't. Okay, we'll come back to that. Right. So I hope that whet your appetite. A little more about me. My name is Sammy de Klerk. I've worked as an actuary for 15 years. I've always loved the idea of how we use computers to solve problems. And for many years, I've done that with Excel. And for the past 8 years or so, I've also started using Python for that. And I absolutely love it, and I'm really excited to share some of that with you today in the hope that if you've never used it before, I can give you some guidance on how to get started using it, to dispel some of the myths around it, and to show that it's actually quite easy to get started in various ways, but in particular right inside Excel, which is a familiar environment for many of us. So that's my first reason. My second reason is that my manager once told me, do something that scares you every day. For me, today, that is standing here on the stage, so tick. Maybe for you. Thank you. And I'm reminded that the sound people told me to not leave this thing. And maybe for you, that is trying Python out, trying these things that all these people that win papers with machine learning use under the hood out, and just seeing if you can get going with it yourself. And thirdly, my name is Simi. It's a weird name. People mispronounce it. So my thinking is if I can come on the stage, say it out loud, maybe more people will pronounce it correctly. We'll see how that goes. Right, so with that then, I want to go back to my spreadsheet, and we will build up to this one. But we're going to start with something simpler. Right here. So, did any of you know that Python is available in Excel today? Right, okay. So if you go to the formula bar and you've got a recent version of Excel, it was released about a year ago, so most of you should have it if you're on a modern version. There is a button here that says Insert Python. And if you click that, it changes the cell, and now it's got this little green thing, and this sidebar pops up. And in here, you can now type Python code. So I'm going to start typing something simple. So let's say my name equals world. That's what we always do. And then I say, oh, that's another one. I even keep forgetting this. Now when you press enter, it gives you a new line instead of completing the formula. If I now say I want to see hello space and name, and I press Control Enter, then my internet connection doesn't work. Of course, that's how it's going to go. Apologies. Talk amongst yourselves. Please work. No man. So I was planning on doing later in the presentation the downsides of the specific feature, which I will still get to. One of them that I'm doing an early demo of now is that this specific feature requires internet access. So you need to keep that in mind wherever you use that. So let's see if the internet gods are kind to me. No, they aren't. Of course, it's going to go like that. Right. I did, you may have seen down here, I did have this. I'm hotspotting off. I specifically bought a little Wi-Fi dongle for this. That has been working all the while and is now failing me for some reason. But
can we hotspot you?
We can try. Okay.
Okay.
Right. What is it again? Is it 50-second? Okay, let's try that. 52-second convention. Could you see if I press shift or not? Like, how did that work? Let's see. Right, okay, but so while that's going, to talk about this feature in general, and maybe to give you an overview of it, what this Python in Excel, this version I'm showing you now, and I'll show you a second way to do it later in the talk as well, is a feature supplied by Microsoft, where they've embedded the ability to use Python right within Excel, in Excel. How it works practically, though, is they ship, when you write code, they send that code off to a Microsoft server that runs the Python code, gets the answer, and brings that back to your laptop. And so that is why I am being stood up at the moment. So let's see, could it be this thing that is messing with me? No internet. Why do you hate me, laptop? Okay. If it doesn't work, I was about to say as well, you'll see I have Sheet, which is where I was going to do it live, Cheat Sheet, where I have all my answers, and then a hard-coded version of the cheat sheet because the internet will do these things to you. So, ooh, wait, connected, secured. Let's see if I do it now. No. Control Enter. Okay, we're gonna jump over to the hard-coded version, and you all are gonna have to believe me.
Don't worry,
Right.
we know that Excel behaves the best when most people are watching.
Yes. Right, so I'm going to switch between these two to show you some of the formulas and the answers then. Every now and then I'll try my luck again and see you to run it, and no, still not. So within this, you can then start using Python. Python's language is comparatively simple compared to many other programming languages, and it is well documented online. It is highly Googleable, so it's easy to get started. And for many applications, you can actually get quite far with a one-liner. Sometimes you need to write a couple of lines of code, but using some of the existing functionality that comes with Python directly or with some libraries that come with it, you'd be surprised at like what 100 letters of text in one line can actually get for you. So the first example that I wanted to give you is cleaning date. So I'm sure many of you would have come across inconsistent date formats in your lives where you're getting data in and it's supposed to represent a point in time, but the way it's represented is just a mess. It's inconsistent like this, or like maybe slightly better, it's just in a weird format, or the worst of the worst in American Standard. I cannot take that. And so here, if you'll then humor me for the yes what the code is and yes what the answer was, is using pandas, which is the library I'll be talking about a lot today, which is the main data processing of the most popular data processing library in Python that is freely available and that is pre-included in the Python in Excel extension. It has many useful features, one of which is the ability to relatively intelligently process date text and figure out what the actual date is that it's trying to represent. And so here you can see that for that, it then deduced the right dates in year, month, day, like any sane person would do, and returned it back for us. Right. Then what I want to move on to next is these, yes. So you can, that connect is PD to daytime, that connect is PD to daytime, and that one, and that one. Okay. Right, so next, I want to show you how to get stuck in some of the practical data stuff that we often need to do in our daily lives. And here I've got some policy information. Some of you may have attended the AI use cases for Actuaries talk this morning. They spoke through several there. Many of them, it was yesterday. It's very cool. There's one that they didn't mention that I'm showing you here now for the first time. It's actually quite cool, and it like some of the stuff Louis showed, for example, was on how to improve underwriting and maybe analytics and some other things. This one here is a great way to boost your sales volumes and your books volumes, which is, for this, what I did is I used AI to just generate policy data. So unfortunately, all the other code I will share with you, this code is proprietary for obvious reasons. It has worked quite well for me in my little endeavor. Volumes have increased. We are still monitoring our first premium collection rate, but I will let you know how that goes. Right. So off this data, maybe this is the list you got. So another piece of functionality that we can use here is a second library called Seaborn that is also prepackaged. That is one of several visualization libraries that comes prepackaged with the Python and Excel extension. And here you can see this one line of code then uses this SNS, which is just short for Seaborn's library's pair plot function. It's passing it in reference to that range, and then I gave it Seaborn. I'll write it down in a second. and then passed one extra parameter to it that I didn't know about and Googled, again, to prove the point that if you don't know how these things work, they are well documented. They're all over Stack Overflow. It's quite easy to learn like that. The name of the library is Seaborn. Like that. Let's make that bigger. And that, I will show you in a second, gives you a nice graph like this that gives pairwise plots of the variables in this data. And now, so what I've done is I've said I want the gender to be the hue, so it's made, which way around is it? 1. I didn't tell the AI which should be 1 or 0. So what gender 1 is orange and gender 2 is blue, and this shows the distribution of the data for gender 1 and gender 2 respectively, pair plotted for age at entry and duration, sum assured and premium, and all manner of other, and every other combination of fields. And surprisingly, this AI does seem to understand a little bit about insurance, because it seemed to have at least plotted a bit of a linear relationship between premium and sum assured, at least. It just at least got that part right. So maybe we'll use this as a pricing engine eventually. Yes. Right. So I'm hoping I can show you that. So the question for everybody is how, like, where is this? We asked earlier about Seaborn. Like, I just put in SNS. I clarified that is the abbreviation for the Seaborn library. But then why does this exist? Why am I able to access this directly, just magically out of nowhere? I will try and show you. We'll see if that part works. If I go in the formula section, Python in the initialization, here it shows me some Python code that it always runs in the background every time that I use it here. And here you can see that it is importing for me several libraries, NumPy as NP, Pandas as PD. So I used that in a previous example. So that is why that worked, why I was able to use that variable, and so forth. And so you can see the ones that are available by default. While we're on it, because this is all running in a server controlled by Microsoft in the cloud, they make a pre-specified list of libraries available to us. This is a subset of that. There are a couple more, but they determine that list, which is one of the downsides of this method that I will address when I show an alternative way of using Python and Excel later. Thank you for the question. Right, so here we've done our visualization now to get a sense of what's going on in our data. Maybe we pick up some patterns or some things that we weren't expecting. And I guess another general point is you could, in theory, do all of this or much of this in Excel, but should you? Maybe not. You get a lot of more powerful functionality out of the box using Python in standalone or within Excel, and I think there's lots of merit to that. Right, so we were talking about our data, but now there was an update, because I don't know about you, but normally, like, you get your data and you work with it, and now, like, time passes, you get your new set, now you need to do the valuation again or update the thing, and you run the new data through, and the answers come out all funny, and you now need to go figure out what's going on. So I'm going to talk you through some of that. So here, is this? No. I almost thought I thought this was the live sheet and the numbers are coming back again. Are we going to try and be naive? Will you guys humor me? Control Enter. Same error, different error. Connect. Okay. Not to be. Okay. So here, this is going to be a more involved line of code that I'm going to show you. Actually, not even a line, it's multiple lines. That is doing a couple of things now. I am creating a variable. So most programming languages, including Python, have the concept of variables that you can assign values, like we say x equals 5 in math as well. And I'm saying I'm creating two variables, one for my initial data and one for my second data, OPN, open, CLS, close. And then I'm using built-in functionality, again, from Pandas called merge. which perhaps if you SQL but not used Python before, is a form of join. But then what that means effectively is in here, I'm telling it to do it on the policy number value in these two tables, and it will then line up the values of these two tables on policy number, and you can see the before and after side by side. So I'll show you what that looks like, and then just a couple of other things that we can go through some other time. And then what that returns for us is this revised table here, and I'll zoom in. And you can see now it's got policy number again, and it's got underscore open versions of all of the variables, agent entry open, sum assured open, etc., etc., etc. And then the closing values without any suffixes. So here I can say policy ABC123 was 48 and was 48. Its sum assured was 7.2 something, and now it's 5 point something, etc., etc. And I can see where these nums occur is where, oh sorry, and finally it added a column for us that I called Venn. I could choose the name like Venn diagram. So you see what I did there, thank you. I must explain the title of the talk at some point as well. It's not what you think, apparently. So in here it says both for for policy numbers that appeared both in the opening and closing set, right only for new policies that appear in our new set, and lower down there will be left onlys for policies that was in our opening set and is now no longer in our closing set. So this is a practical pattern that I jump to often for daily work, where you get an updated parameter table, or who knows what it is, and it's maybe not small enough to fit on one screen, but you need to nevertheless understand what changed. So we can go even further within this then, though. And over here, again, apologies for the switching back and forth between the code and the answers. Here is, and I maintain that Python has really easy to read syntax and it's easy to learn. Using pandas can sometimes get a little confusing, and I will concede that this isn't necessarily the easiest to read. But if you look at it, if I read it from the outside in, it's saying, go to my merged table, which I created in the previous step, go to the Venn column, where the value of that is left only. Give me all those from the merged table, and that is what I will call my offs table. And that then outputs down here for us all the rows that was in the opening but wasn't in the closing. And so if this is maybe insurance, you can then go and compare this, cross-check this against claims data and lapse data from elsewhere to see if these are in fact the policies we were expecting to fall off. The other way around as well is, I'm not going to switch back now, but here I've done the same to say where that last column is right only. I can pull all of these out. And this, in normal circumstances, should then be your new business. And now you can do additional things with this. AI is maybe a little ambitious about selling new business, though, so we can see there the duration in force for these policies that came on recently are all like basically all above 100, so there's definitely something wrong here for us to go and investigate. And then finally, what I've deemed ours is this is in the remaining subset, and I'm quickly going to switch back to show you some code I've included there. New. Right, so here I've added the longest code block we've had so far. But in this, and again, trying to showcase some of the power of Python, what this is doing is looping through each of the columns and creating two additional output columns to say, is the new value different to the old value? Yes, no. And what is the numeric size of that difference? And then when we output that in our RS table, we now have all the columns we had before. We have our Venn column, and then we have a column for agent entry changed, agent entry difference, it's sum assured change, etc., etc. And here we can see, and I would have fixed it live if all this worked, that I got my logic for is it the same the wrong way around. In that for this person, agent entry was 48, it's 48 again, but I've said true. So true means false and false means true. So a little bit like modern, like American politics. It's like, you don't. I was trying so hard not to get myself like roasted forever with this, but here we go. Right, and so off this, you can now get this table and have information about, between these two sets, of the common subset, the rows that appear in both, which fields change for which policies, and then look at that. And there are then further ways that you could summarize this further in Python as well, but just to remind us that the whole pitch of my talk is bringing Python into a familiar environment for us, which is Excel. You can chop and change between the two as well. And so what I've even done here, and I can actually do because it doesn't need the internet, is I can say insert pivot table. Okay, and this works as normal if you're familiar with pivot tables. And so now I can look at various fields. So let's maybe look at duration in force difference. If I bring that in, and I bring in just some value to count or some, no, let's bring the count value in. So here I can see of my 91 common rows, for 90 of them, the duration in force increased by 12, which probably means that these are two data sets taken a year apart and what we'd expect, but one changed by 80, so there's clearly something sus going on there. So one could now extend this and on a field-by-field basis express what change you would or would not expect and compare the outcome to that. Right. And yeah, that is what I had prepared here. So that was live demo number 1. And I don't think I'm going to switch back quickly. So then the hope was to come into our machine learning example and show you how that works and we can play with it. That is unfortunately not possible now. I apologize. But in here, there's code that I'll be clear with this. If this is going on the internet, I will get roasted for this part too. I got this off a YouTube tutorial, literally this file. A guy talks you through line by line what all of this does. But suffice to say, you can do this in Python, in Excel, in about 20, 30 lines of code. You can run the code and you can fit the model and you can play with it and get a feel for how it works. Right. So that was a lot, quite quickly. Yes, sir. Yeah, actually, I don't know if we're allowed to, but I like having an interactive audience. It helps me know if you guys are.
Yeah, I just need to ask one thing first.
Yes.
What's the tipping point of complexity when it's just like a bottleneck to have Python in Excel and you should just move to like a Python environment?
Yes. So I've got this whole so when should you actually use it slide later, but I'll answer some of it. So my longer game plan play here is really that this is a gateway drug, that this is a way to get you introduced to Python, get you familiar with using Python in Excel as a way to get used to Python and starting to get a feel for that. Where you will hit bottlenecks, where it will bomb out, is that there are limits on it. I think you can go a bit further than Excel's data limit. So Excel can have about 1 million rows in a table, right? I think with this you can go a little further, but it will max out as well. And the other, while we're talking about caveats, actually no, let's just go there. It's actually, I forgot, it's my next bit here. So I wanted to go back here. I said that, I will answer your question in a second. Okay, and I will not forget that question either. So here is what I claimed, and I'm going to come back to my asterisk now to say, you can, with Python in Excel, even if you've never done machine learning, you can do machine learning in 15 minutes. Hopefully you're more or less convinced of that. But where the asterisk comes in is just because you could doesn't mean you should. It's a little bit like saying, to drive an F1 car, all you need to do is take the key, walk up to the car, climb in the car, put the key in the ignition, turn the ignition, and hit the petrol, and it will go. That, I don't even know if that's the way you do it, but that will probably work, but that does not, by no means, means that you are actually qualified to drive the vehicle. And so just to recap on this Python in Excel feature, it's very easy to start. You can, as I showed at the start, I clicked on that insert Python button. It gave the little green icon. You can, for the same money, just type equals py, open bracket, and it will bring your cell into that same mode. It effectively extends Excel's formula language. So as you saw, like you put it in a cell, it does its thing inside the cell, it returns something back out, much like how normal Excel formulas do. It can lean in quite hard to the relatively new functionality in Excel to not just return one value, but return tables. Many modern Excel formulas do that too, but it sort of fits in, that's sort of how it fits in the world. And as we've touched on in part, it's got many modern data science libraries built in, not least of which Pandas, which does give you a lot of powerful data manipulation functionality out of the box. And as mentioned earlier, sometimes you can actually like improve your experience by just bringing one line of Python in to do something that is otherwise harder to do in Excel, or you can write blocks of code if you want. So one of the downsides that if I've shown you nothing else, I've shown you that it's a downside that it runs in the cloud, which means that you need internet. Please take that away from this talk. And the second one is that it runs in a secure sandbox provided by Microsoft. But that has two implications. One is that we've mentioned already, is that they provide a predetermined set of libraries that you're able to use, which can get you quite far, but in some cases, especially when we're starting into the more niche actuarial stuff, we maybe want to bring in other code that is not on Microsoft's predefined list. And so those would be, coming back to your question, sir, those will be the parts where it will bomb out. And then there's, so sort of where we land is, it's great, it's easy, it's already there, you can get going in a minute, it's secure, it runs in the cloud, but it needs internet access, don't I know it. You can't, and then you can't access the outside world, so that's something we haven't spoken about yet. It's not something we do that much normally in Excel, but it's something Python is fairly good at, is to talk to other servers and machines over the internet to fetch data that we could have used here, but now we can't. And then the other big caveat for Microsoft's Python and Excel features is that they document that they have usage limits, but for the life of me, I cannot find any documentation on what those usage limits are. So even if my internet was working now, it may have happened that I run this stuff, and then because I was practicing it this morning, I somehow used up my quota, and then it stops working for me because I've used my quota for the day or the month. Yes, sir. Hmm? Yes, so just to repeat that question, so I claim here that the Microsoft's Python and Excel feature cannot access the outside world. And what that means, it's the only things it can access outside of itself is the Excel environment, the Excel file effectively that it's running in. That includes anything that's in the cell somewhere in that file, and it also includes Power Query connections in there. So yes, you can get around this by bringing the data into Excel yourself first, using traditional methods or something like Power Query or VBA or something else to bring it in. And then once it's there, then Python and Excel can see it, and then you can start working with it. Yes, and then I'm going to come back to the gentleman's question forever. Okay, you go first. Sorry, we've been...
Okay, my question was, these files are Excel files, right? Like, when you say file with a pattern code...
Yes, right.
So every entity was just Excel.
Yes, right. So the question is, are these files still Excel files? The answer is yes, and that I can show you without internet is... that'll teach me. So let's go to File, Info, Open File Location. Here are these files are saved. They're normal Microsoft Excel workbooks. And in fact, they're unlike VBA that forces you to use the XLSM or XLSB extension. These can be saved in normal XLSX Excel files as well. No. So that's part of the secure sandbox thing. Is the Python code has access to the Excel file that it's running in and the connections in there and the cells in there. Nothing else in your computer. Nothing else anywhere else in the world. That's just, it's the only context that it can access. Thank you. Okay, can I? Well, let's see. So hard trying to not like get myself banned forever, but I'm going to show that I'm male and probably can't multitask, but let's try. So you like asking your question while I try and see if I can get this going. Okay, right. So the question, I'm going to do that first. The question is, in Excel, you can, not in Excel, in Python, you are able to write your own functions and classes. Functions and classes are ways to encapsulate parts of functionalities, bits of functionality together. So the pandas library, the Seaborn library that I pulled in, for example, would consist of functions and classes that other people would have written that I'm now leveraging. You can write your own as well. The question was, can you use that within this? The answer is yes, you can. So you can write a function and have it exist in the context and then reuse that in one or more cells later on, and similarly classes as well. But all the code that needs to exist in that instance needs to either come from a pre-whitelisted library or be in one of the other cells in the notebook, in the file, in the Excel file that you're working on. Okay, can't multitask. Right, okay. What was the Wi-Fi name, sir? That is... Thank you so much. You did spell my name wrong, though. Okay. If you learn nothing, at least we're all having a laugh. Does it have a password? Whew, okay. 5. C. Number 6418. Small e. 1. Do we... I said 1, 4, 2 4s. Number 4, number 2. Does that look right? Let's okay. Well, okay. Looking good? No. Okay, so I messed that up. Okay, so shall I? Yeah. Okay. I've tested everything except actually testing the Wi-Fi while I'm here. That'll teach you, like, end-to-end testing is important. That's another software principle we can bring in. So does that mean my only option is I can unplug and then just turn my laptop around and we go, like, or shall we go?
Walk up to everybody and show them your screen.
Yeah, like, I'll be one of those. No, it's actually, sorry, we can't do that because I need to be with the mics. So otherwise, maybe.
We could get you a roaming mic.
Love it. Okay, so, yes.
So usually we have everything sitting, like every company has their own kind of Microsoft account where everything's stored in the cloud. But in this instance, when you take information away and you go to a secure cloud,
Yes.
wouldn't there still need to be some sort of, I suppose, privacy protection of information? The information goes to that secure cloud, perhaps. I'm not sure if it's the same instance.
Yes. So the question is, if you work for a company and it's got an IT policy about when and how you can send data off the internal network to an external computer, how does this thing where now the data, this Python code and the data that it runs on is now being sent to a Microsoft service somewhere else? I don't know the specifics. I think it basically boils down to your company's going to have to trust Microsoft, which I think many of us many companies already do. So I'm hoping that would be the way it's solved. I don't know if they give any guarantees around where this secure machine might sit relative to others in various clouds. All right. So, given these problems with Python and Excel that we've mentioned, there are actually several other ways in which one can use Python in Excel, but one additional one that I'd like to show you today is called Excel Wings Lite. Unlike Microsoft for Excel, Excel Wings Lite is not made, unlike Python in Excel, which is made by Microsoft, Excel Wings Lite is made by a private individual. His name is Felix Zamstein. He does this for a living, making these extensions for use. And it has a comparatively similar learning curve, I claim, and it has the big advantage that unlike running in some cloud somewhere provided by somebody else, it runs on your laptop. Which means that now finally in part 2, we can get to the live demo promise that I so naively started this day with. So in many ways, it's a similar kind of concept, but there are some differences. So in Python, in Excel, you write your code in Excel cells the way you would write Excel formulas in those cells. In Excel Wings Lite, you write the code in the separate sidebar, but then you're able to leverage that code in Excel. And right, yes, thank you. I forgot that. That is a good point. So how that appears and how we get there is, maybe just to repeat quickly, for Python in Excel, Microsoft's one, you go to the formula bar, and there's an insert Python button, and that gets you starting with that. The Excel Wings Lite is an Excel add-on, which if you go to your Home tab, there is an add-ons feature over here, and it will. Why is this working? And in here, you can then search for install add-ins. It's like a mini Play Store where you can install various apps from Microsoft's Excel extension store, and Excel Wings Lite is one of them. So you'd go in here, you'd click on this. Mine already works, but if you click on it, it would then install. That may take a couple of minutes. Thank you for reminding me. So then getting into how this part works is in here, we're getting to the concept of writing functions that one of our friends mentioned earlier, which is this concept of writing blocks of code and bringing them together. It's conceptually not that different to like this built-in sum function in Excel or many other Excel functions, in that you can write some code that says, I take this input, I do things with it in my code, and then I return something back out. So here, and that can be used in two ways. One, to work as a function that actually produces output that you then want to pick up and use, or just a way to say, well, actually, I don't care what this thing spits out at the end. I just want it to do stuff and then be done. And within Excel Wings Lite, you can then write functions, and you can tag them with either a @ script or an @ func, and that will do two different things. @ script will run the block of code when you press a button, and @ func will make this thing available as a function in Excel. So I'm going to go to a different sheet to show it. So here, there's a script that comes pre-installed with Excel Wings Lite called Hello World that says, go to the book, go to Sheets, activate A1. For those of you familiar with VBA might see that this looks relatively familiar. Set the value to Hello World and set the color to, he claims yellow. Let's see. So if I now I can, because this is tagged with a script, I can see these two examples here, and I can click on Hello World, and it ran, and it made a cell A1 yellow and put the text Hello World in that. So that is the first bit of functionality you can do there. And then the second one, which then brings it closer to how Python in Excel works a little bit, is you can define your own function. So here, I defined a function called simi, and just good to be here now. Let's tweak it. And now I can come back and I can say equals simi of 3 and 4. Oh, comma 4. Oh, why do you hate me? Okay, so it should be giving me an error somewhere. Right, so that is Python's syntax for exponentiation, but maybe it is that. Let's see. Now I'm curious. Why are you not changing on this side? So in a quick sidetrack is in my previous one where I did the data and the comparison, actually I planted a deliberate error to sort of give a bit of a sense of what do you do when things go wrong. I think that is you hard paste everything and then you just show that slide by slide the entire talk through. That's what you do. But I cut my teeth in programming through VBA, and I like Python better now. But what I loved about VBA and what is true of Python at times, and definitely true here within Excel, is you can start quickly with one line of code that does a real thing that you care about, and you can then start playing and tweaking it. And if you want to get into this, that's what I encourage you to do, is get one line doing a step towards what you want to build towards, make it work, and then try and break it, change it, see if I make it 5, if I make it 10 instead of 5, does it do what I expect it to do? Does it still work? Tweak it like we've tweaked it here. We said, okay, well, let's just, maybe the exponentiation is too much, let's simplify the operation. And when we did that did work. And then we could go back. I still can't tell you why it didn't run the first time. But yeah, so that does that. And so in here, we can then write our own functions that does whatever we can do in Python, we can then do in here. And here again, as you learn more about Python, you can bring any bits of interesting functionality that you like into Excel. Then, yes, sir?
Now import data from other places in a computer.
Good question. Right. So the question is, with Excel Wings Lite, so with Python and Excel, I mentioned that it's got this double-edged sword feature that it runs in the secured sandbox, and that by design it can't leak anything out, but also can't bring anything else in. Can we do that now? The answer is yes, but still with a little asterisk. Is Excel Wings Lite makes use of the relatively new Office scripts functionality within Microsoft Office. What that does is it gives it a web browser-like environment that this code runs in that also has access to Excel. So like when you so the code in here has a similar access model to what a web page that you open in Chrome would have, in that it can access stuff around itself and it can talk to other servers on the internet, but it can't access files on your hard drive or on your network drive or other things privileged things that you have access to. Right. Yes, I think that should work. I haven't tried it, but I believe that should work. Yes. Hmm? Hmm? Right, so the question is, the Oscar pointed out that one can also use VBA to define custom functions, like I'm doing here, to create new functions that don't exist in vanilla Excel. But she points out that that can be slow at times. And whether would it be faster to do it in Python now? I'm going to have to be an actuary and say I think it depends, but I will give some guidance on how it might depend. To an extent it will depend on what exactly you're doing naturally. What you can do here is you can again go into pandas, the data manipulation library, and so you can write a function that takes in a table and returns another table and uses Python's built-in more performant ways of looping over rows or doing things in bulk, which is often effectively really at the heart of what we're trying to get at, is we're trying to do the same thing multiple times over. So with Python, you have access to that existing ecosystem of libraries that are more adept at doing those data manipulation things, those sorts of patterns, more effectively than you may have done in VBA. Yeah, that it might be quicker, yes.
Simi, we got a question, Carl, from the floor here.
Sorry. I love taking questions from the floor. Yes, sir. So the question is, if you use effectively either of these two ways of using Python in Excel to build an enhanced Excel workbook that now has Python in it in various forms. If other people need to use that workbook, do they also need these add-ins? And the answer to that is yes, as they would. If you intend for them to also open the workbook and have it recalculate and the like, you could use it in a I see hands back there. I'll get to you in a second. You can use it in that way, and so you could use it as one workbook that gives hard-coded results that gets fed later, like we do with many other things. But yes, others would have to install it too. So if it fits nicely for things that only you have to do, or if it's a small team that you can get your team to buy in. If you are distributing tools wider, then you would need to buy into getting that there's a bit of a small ceremony to get set up that others need to.
Okay, now we're going from the floor to the standing audience at the back.
Yeah.
They're waving you down, Simi.
So just wanted to check in Excel, can you also access those popular libraries like pandas, etc., or is it not important?
Right, and that is actually going to be my next trick. Thank you for that nice segue. Is in Excel Wings has a similar but different in important ways concept in that it also has this requirements.txt file, which if you get into Python more, it's a common way when writing a Python project to express which external libraries your project uses. And in there, you will typically list the other libraries that you use. So Excel Wings also comes with a couple of common ones pre-installed, and you can see so these ones, it says it needs for itself to work, and then it's also brought in pandas, matplotlib, and seaborn for us. And this one is my party trick that I'll get to in a second. But so here you can see what it brings in by default for you. And what makes this more powerful than Python in Excel is you can add any other library that is hosted on the Python library repository online in here, and it will also pull that in and make that available. And on that, it's actually part of what I wanted to demonstrate is there is a library called PyMort.
Simi,
yes.
You just got an 8-minute time check. Sorry, the clock has fallen down there. So you got 8 minutes. The clock that was there is now fallen, so you can't see it. So your time is gone.
Yes, I saw that earlier. And now it's gone, you're right.
So the time is almost gone as well.
Thank you. Okay, cool, I'll speed up. So, right, so in researching this, I found some stuff. Did you know there's a site exists called mort.soa.org, which is hosted and maintained by the Society of Actuaries of America. It hosts effectively a repository of publicly available mortality tables, including South African mortality tables. And so you can come in here on the website and look through the catalog. There are like many hundreds of mortality tables on there, which you can then download to use. Someone then also built a Python library called PyMort that goes there, fetches all the tables, and does a little bit of pre-processing on it to bring it in. Yeah. No. that spoiler, that is coming later. No, this is actuarial open source, whoever that may be. And that is then what I brought in here in Excel. Coming back here I've included PyMort, which means I can now make use of that library in my code. This is something I would not be able to do in Python in Excel. And with that, I can then come up here and, okay, with what I then did in the code on this side, so let me just find it. There's two bits that I need to show you, right? So higher up, I've got a statement called import PyMort, which tells Python that I want to, not only have I installed and downloaded this library, but I want to use it in this piece of code that I'm writing now. And then I wrote a smallish function, given time, I'm not going to go through all the lines now, but then makes use of that PyMort library to fetch a given mortality table. And from prior knowledge, do I have it? No, it's not on here. The SA8590 Lite mortality tables ID in this repository is 993. So I made a small function that says get more table, that takes in an ID and the table number if required. And if you then pass it 993, it will fetch SA8590 Lite for you. And SA8590 Heavy is 994 from memory. Press enter, then that works, and that pulls in that table. So this gives you a flavor of what we as a community can do if we start building more small packages that encapsulate some common things for us to use. And now to get to my trick around that, another common thing we need to use is are our PA curves, right? Those of us who are subjected to SAM. And I, in the building up to this, made a small Python repository with some scripts that pulls down the zipped Excel files from the PA's website, extracts them, goes into the files and does some pre-processing to produce them in a standardized format, and then hosts that on GitHub, which is a place where you can host code, but you can also reuse it to make those items available online. And so I can show you here, for example, here is within that, then for the January 2024 PI curves, the curves in a CSV file format. And what I've then done on the Excel side is to write a small function that says those curves all follow a standard pattern in their naming. It's like this, and then year goes here and month goes there. So I wrote a function with 2 lines that takes the year and the month, and then returns the PA curves from the PA for that period. And so if I go to my curve sheet here, given that we've got like who has a favorite year or month, what other period should we pull? Just to get some audience participation. You've all been so quiet this whole time. Okay, fine, I'll do it. Let's just say January this year, and there it's pulling. Thank you. Right, and that is, my time is virtually up, but that is then the overview of Excel Lite. Very quickly then to, again, went quite quickly, but hopefully you learned some stuff. So just very quickly, like a recap of Python. It's a very powerful language, not just the language, but also the ecosystem of data science and other packages that people have created. It's got a low threshold. Hopefully I've convinced you of that yet, meaning it's easy to get started. But unlike some other starter programming languages where you bottom out quite quickly, it's got a high ceiling. Many big companies use this in production for serious stuff, like it's heavily used at Google, Netflix, Instagram, and YouTube run on it, run their backend on it. Those companies depend on it, and so they fund it. So these things are all open source, which means technically it doesn't come with guarantees of maintenance, but those companies fund it and make sure the foundations that provide these things are well funded and maintained. It's versatile. I've shown you, we looked at a lot of data science stuff here, but it can be used for scripting and other things too. And it's portable, so that's another key point that I want to land is the code that we wrote, that I've shown you here in various places, we wrote to run in Python, in Excel in these 2 different ways, but you can almost always lift and shift that code and run that in any other Python environment. In a normal Python environment, you maybe just have to take those Excel bits out, but it'll work. The logic is generic. So learning it through this does not mean you learn a different Python to what other people use. You will be able to build on that quite quickly if you want to move out. Then this was a quick comparison that as I'm expecting to come up is comparing this and the two that we looked at today and VBA just to see what you can and can't do between them. My bias starts and ends in the first row. The first two, you get to use Python. The other one, you have to use VBA. You can extend formulas. With Python and Excel, it's not quite the same. It's the thing where you get the pi cell and it returns something. But then in Excel, Wings, Lite, and VBA, you can do that. We've mentioned the problems of the fact that, of the goods and the bads of the fact that Python and Excel runs in the cloud. And then you, the last 2 points across those 3 rows really is that the Python ecosystem comes with one of the phrases they use in that world is its batteries included. You don't just get like a starter pack, you get a thing that works and it works well out of the box. And finally, just to note, and some of the questions that hint at it, is Python and Excel really only extends Excel's formula language. You can do what you can do with the formula with it, whereas with VBA and Excel Wings Lite, you can, I didn't show examples of it today, but you can start doing things where you manipulate Excel as a whole, where you add new sheets and rename sheets and get into that sort of thing too.
Thank you very much, Sami.
Right,
Is there
okay.
one final thing? 30 seconds.
No.
No, are you done? Have you ever tried running these scripts in Google Sheets? Don't kill me, please.
No, is the short answer.
Okay, you should, because there's a couple of workarounds here that I saw that I've played with myself. But thank you very much, everybody. Give Sami a hand. Right now is another refreshment break sponsored by IACA Consulting Actuaries. There's also broad sponsors that we haven't mentioned yet: Accurate, GenRE, MBE Consulting, and GenRE. Oh, that's again
I would
with
like
the
to take a
acronyms.
selfie. Could I do that, please? This was my
Take
first
your
goal.
selfie. If you are going to the cocktail, the center court cocktails, you need to collect your wristband.
Nothing's working today.
And if you can find it in your heart, please look up the AWF QR code on the back of your paper program and open up your wallet.
Guys, before you leave, Simi, do a video. We're going to all scream for you. Guys, I'm going to count you down. 3, 2, 1. We're going to give him a loud scream. One of the best presentations we've seen today. So 3, 2, 1. Go for it.
Thank you so much. I had a great time. Imagine how good this would have been if I had internet.